Looks are deceiving, and such is the case for this fake nun. Today we're covering the 2015 thriller Bad Sister. Before we start, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe to dig the breakdown. And as a quick reminder, this video contains spoilers, so you have been warned. So, this movie begins with our main character, Jason, making an online video about his transfer to St. Adeline, a convent school. He's a musician and is popular on the internet for uploading his songs. The scene then cuts to a mystery lady assaulting someone with a blunt object and putting their body inside the trunk of a car. She later changes into a nun's outfit. Jason has a sister named Zoe, and they're both students at St. Adeline. They're dropped off by their parents, who are welcomed by Sister Rebecca. Zoe and Jason see Zoe's assigned roommate named Sarah in the parking lot, and we find out that she actually has a crush on Jason. The mystery lady from before turns out to be Sister Sophia. Her real name is Laura, but she has stolen Sister Sophia's identity. Sister Rebecca welcomes Sophia, and they run into Jason. They're introduced to one another, and Sophia is taken to the office for a briefing about things at the school. While Sophia is settling into her room, she hides the suitcase belonging to the real Sophia under the bed. She then watches a video of Jason singing one of his songs and kisses the laptop screen. Meanwhile, Jason gets settled in his room, and then he heads to the common room to play the guitar, where Sophia finds him and approaches him for some small talk. The following morning, Sophia walks into class and greets the students, but she notices that Jason and Sarah are not paying attention to her, but rather to each other. Sophia seems jealous about this, and she moves Sarah to the front of the class. Just as the class is about to begin, Zoe reminds Sophia about the morning prayer before their class starts. Sophia tells Zoe to lead the prayer, but she notices that Sophia does not utter a single word of it. Zoe tells Jason about this, but he brushes her off and leaves. In doing so, he runs into Sophia and apologizes for the incident in class. She forgives him and suspiciously asks if Sarah is his girlfriend, to which Jason says no. Jason thinks that it's strange when Sophia admits that his answer is a bit disappointing because he's quite the catch, but he ignores the feeling and carries on. Later that evening, Sophia is again watching Jason's music videos on repeat, and the lip gloss she confiscated from Sarah earlier infuriates her because she's reminded about how Sarah is an obstacle in her way to be with Jason. The next day, she finds Sarah and Jason exchanging a passionate kiss and quickly interrupts them, telling Jason to go to class so she can deal with Sarah. She tells Sarah she'll suspend her, but Sarah's father is a donor to the school, so getting suspended is the least of her worries. This angers Sophia, who tells Jason to stay behind after class, where she confronts Jason about him lying about his relationship with Sarah. To deal with the matter, she invites Jason to her room after school. Jason is worried since the students are not allowed near the staff quarters, but Sophia is determined to get her way. Sophia uses her temptress tactics by dressing down into nothing but a robe and lingerie, purposely leaving the door slightly open. When Jason arrives, he is tongue-tied, soaking in the distraction as Sophia seductively oils herself. He then gets uncomfortable and dashes to the other side of the school. The weekend arrives and the students are going to go home. Sophia is jealous when she sees the affectionate hug that Jason and Sarah share before they part ways. Just then, Sister Rebecca walks up to her and Sophia tells her that her aunt, Frances, has been unwell and she would like to visit her so that she can leave the school too. Back home, things are tense. While Zoe is a bookworm, Jason is more interested in taking a year off school to pursue his music career. Jason's decision aggravates the already tense relationship between him and his father. His father prefers that he goes to college so that he does not become a starving artist. The little faith his father has in him upsets Jason, and he skips dinner to play some tunes by the pool. Unknown to him, Sophia is stalking him and carefully watching him as he plays. She nearly blows her cover when she accidentally steps on a bucket. She quickly escapes and takes a sip of alcohol in her car when a sinister idea strikes her. The next school week, Sophia sneaks into the hall where the girls sleep, but Sister Rebecca spots her and follows her. Sophia enters Zoe and Sarah's room and plants a joint in Sarah's history book. The following day, during class, she has the students open their books to a specific page and busts Sarah. She hurriedly reports Sarah to Sister Rebecca and Father Macy, who have her suspended indefinitely. Sophia has a lot more up her sleeve. She suggests that they inspect the students' rooms, and during the inspection, Jason, who has struggled with booze in the past, is busted with the same bottle of alcohol Sophia was previously drinking in the car. Sophia displays fake remorse and asks Sister Rebecca to pardon Jason and instead have him stay behind in school over the weekend to help the other sisters tend to the school grounds. After the inspection, Father Macy and Sophia are taking a walk in the school compound. He asks her how she found her calling, and she admits that it was through a pop song. There's a flashback in which we find out how she ended up at the school. Sophia, whose real name is, again, Laura, was among the fans who were avid listeners of Jason's music. After uploading a song that spoke to her, she found out via the school website that a nun named Sophia was set to make a transfer there. Determined to get her way to St. Adeline, Laura met the real Sophia, distracted her, and hit her on the head with a club, causing a fatal injury. Laura then buried the body and took her car and clothes, assuming her new identity as Sophia. Back in the present, Jason tells Zoe that he has to stay over the weekend and that Sophia helped him escape trouble with his parents. Zoe, who is wary of Sophia, says that she'll also stay behind. That weekend, Sophia offers to help Jason tend to his assigned flower bed while Zoe watches suspiciously from a distance. During the night, Sophia sneaks into Jason's room and, though he tries to resist at first, Sophia's seduction gets the best of him and they end up doing very inappropriate things, which Sophia secretly records. The following day, Jason is distracted and shrouded in guilt. Zoe is worried because he has suddenly gone AWOL. So she goes to look for him in his room and finds Sophia, who has been rummaging through his clothes. Sophia uses the upper hand to threaten to report Zoe to Father Macy for being in the boys' dormitory, and feeling defeated, Zoe leaves. Sensing that Zoe is a threat, Sophia has her stay behind after class to give her a history paper that she's failed. Zoe is in disbelief. She's a hard-working student who always has good grades. Sophia pretends to care about Zoe getting accepted into college and tells her to see her after school to resit her paper. However, Sophia leaves the answer key on top of her desk. When Zoe comes to the class as advised, she sees the answer key on the table and looks at it out of curiosity. Just then, Sophia walks in and reports Zoe for trying to cheat her way through the resit. Sister Rebecca is shocked by this because Zoe is a model student. Jason's guilt is weighing on him, so he goes to the confessional to repeat his sins, unaware that Sophia is following him. She then corners him in the booth to resume where they left off the other night. Okay guys, quick pause to remind you to comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. On with the recap. The cat is almost out of the bag when the bishop visits the school. He's welcomed by Sister Rebecca and asks her if Sophia is integrating well with the school and the students. He describes her as a ray of sunshine, piquing Sister Rebecca's suspicions further. She thinks Sophia is strict and more aloof based on their interactions. Sister Rebecca tells the bishop to wait at her office so she can call Sophia for a meeting. Just then, Sophia is leaving her chambers when she spots the bishop and Sister Rebecca. She thinks of an exit plan and makes a run for it. When Sister Rebecca finds her, she lies that she has to leave urgently because her Aunt Frances is in critical condition at the hospital. Back at the Brady house, Jason reflects on his decisions. He gets a text from Sarah reminding him about a party and to take his guitar for a performance. During dinner that evening, Jason asks his father if he can go to the party, and they get into a heated argument about Jason's future in college. Jason storms out and leaves for the party under the watch of stalker Sophia, who is parked across the street. Jason arrives ready for some drinks, and Sarah is more than welcoming. She leads them to a room for a fun night in between the sheets, but Jason is distracted. He walks off, and when Sarah chases after him, she notices that her car has been vandalized. Jason is trying to cool off, walking down the street with a bottle of beer in his hand, when he gets pulled over by a cop and is nearly arrested. However, Sophia shows up in the nick of time and helps him. Jason worries about going home in his drunken state, so Sophia takes the opportunity to take him to his room again, telling him she'll help him sober up. When they get to the chambers, a more delusional and obsessed side of Sophia emerges. She believes that they're kindred spirits, both misunderstood. She wants her and Jason to fly off to Paris for their sweet escape. But Jason is having none of it and puts an end to her gimmicks. Sophia is hysterical, begging Jason not to leave her. Desperate to get home, Jason calls Zoe to pick him up. His dad overhears and goes looking for him himself. He finds him and apologizes for not accepting Jason's dreams and ambitions. The following morning, when it's time to be dropped off at school, Zoe notices a car driving away in a rush. She checks the number plate later on and finds out that the car belongs to Sister Sophia. Jason heads back to his dorm room and finds Sophia lying unconscious on his bed with a bottle of pills by his bedside. He tries to perform CPR and she kisses him back. Turns out she had faked it to see if Jason cares for her. Jason has a meltdown and threatens to report her, but she has the upper hand, knowing that Jason already has a tainted reputation with the administration. Zoe then calls Jason to update him on her shocking discovery about the car. Scared of Sophia, he tries to get her to ignore it, which only triggers Zoe further. Although he only makes Zoe promise not to tell their parents her findings, her suspicions are confirmed. One morning, Sophia has Jason lead the class in morning prayer. Sister Rebecca is by the door, observing that Sophia does not recite the prayer herself. Sarah returns to the school, and Sophia feels threatened, so she tells Jason to stay behind after class to convince him that they belong together. Jason ends things again and goes to talk to Sarah. That night, Sophia sneaks up on Sarah while she's in the shower. She attacks her and clears her off in cold blood. Just then, Zoe heads for the shower and finds Sarah. While the school is dealing with the loss, Jason confronts Sophia. She decides to show him the video of their romantic encounter, leaving Jason even more afraid for his reputation. Sophia lies to Sister Rebecca again, saying that she needs to attend her Aunt Frances's funeral, so she has to leave the school that day. Jason is hoping a family dinner will distract him from his woes when Sophia turns up at the same restaurant. The Brady parents extend their grace and welcome her to dinner despite Jason's protests, leading to the kids being very uncomfortable during dinner. Later, Sister Rebecca calls the hospital and finds out that Sophia has been lying about her aunt. She summons her to the office for interrogation, and sensing that her secret is almost out, Sophia panics and hits Sister Rebecca, making her unconscious. Zoe and Jason sneak into Sophia's room to look for evidence to help them frame her. They find out that Sophia is Laura, along with some indecent pictures of Jason on her laptop. They immediately go to Sister Rebecca's office to make a report, but can't fight her. So they go to the church where a fight ensues between them and Sophia. Sophia is very aggressive and she's about to kill them when Sister Rebecca makes it just in time and tries to rescue Zoe and Jason by being a distraction. After much struggle, Jason stabs Sophia, putting an end to her life and saving all of them. What did y'all think about this one? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the recap and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. Until next time.